Well, I said I was done talking about Marathon, but here we are talking about it again because the situation has gotten a lot spicier. I didn't think that it was going to get this spicy. This is like, everybody keeps comparing it to Concord. Even people who should not be comparing it to Concord. Like developers of Concord, and also developers of Marathon, and also gaming journalists, and all kinds of people that are just like, this is the one thing that Marathon has over Concord. Yeah, just one thing. From Hypnotic, you can see his name on the screen. Marathon game gets destroyed by gamers as Access Media runs damage control and begs you to stop. Yeah, that's all this is, access journalism. That's all it's ever been. Glazing these AAA games. And then the ones that we like are the ones that get shit all over. 100% access journalism. And it's not like it used to be, where they'd have to pay in or like have prizes or something. No, long gone are those days. Now it's just all agenda based and politics based. And there probably is money exchanging hands, but in different ways than it used to happen. Let's check it out.
So it would seem as if the damage control for Marathon has already started to begin, and we have seen a multitude of different websites try to do this exact same thing. It seems like now
IGN? Did IGN do it? PC Gamer? Kotaku? The usual suspects?
the gamer is doing no different.
This time it's the gamer. I didn't see that up in the corner. Yeah, them too. Every time.
They put out an article just yesterday talking about how Marathon already has something that Concord didn't. Now, the reason why they're putting out this article is because what these journalists do is run damage control for the mainstream gaming industry because they're in the same bed together. The developers have admitted, especially at different GDC panels, that they try to, sway journalists to try to go in their favor and utilize and become friends with these journalists so that way they get positive press whenever they need it.
Yeah, and also, whenever these AAA games do very well and sell a lot, that's good for the journalists because they get more clicks. And they get more clicks for talking about AAA games. And they get more clicks for negative clickbait. And this seems positive. It's disguised as positivity. Like, this thing is actually going to be good. But it's negative because this isn't what everybody in the gaming community is talking about right now. They're saying that it's going to be bad. And from what I can tell, it's going to be bad. This situation is going to be horrible. I'm not even saying that the game is going to be bad, because who knows, it might be great. But the culture war around it, that's going to be horrible. I can't wait.
This is one of those times. Marathon is being compared to Concord due to its artistic style, and the overall presentation of the game and people's reactions have not been good. So now you have the gamer and multiple of the websites running damage control for this video game.
I think people are starting to get really tired of these semi-sci-fi first-person shooters, because that's all that we got, that they're everywhere. Even Call of Duty went that way for a little while, but they pulled back a bit.
So let's get into this article, guys, from The Gamer. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So again, it says Marathon already has something Concord didn't. Now, I want to make something very clear at the beginning of this video. Before we actually get into the article itself, I understand why people do not like Marathon. I myself do not like Marathon. It looks like a wholly uninspired, very boring, very lame fucking shooter that nobody really has much interest in. However, who has interest in this game is a pre-established fan base that belongs to Bungie, which is something that Firewalk Studios did not have with Concord.
And they don't even have that, because they straight up said, if you like Destiny 2, this isn't that. This is not for you. Legit said, this game is not for you.
Concord, it was a brand new IP made from a studio that never made a game before. At least not that game anyway.
Yeah, that's the one thing that they have. That Marathon is actually based on something, so it has to succeed. 100% it's going to succeed, except nobody knows anything about Marathon. Nobody really even knows that there were old Marathon games. Nobody was talking about them until this game started getting talked about, and then people were like, oh yeah, those were a thing back in the 90s.
And it was very clear that they were having to start from the ground up, and their thought was, hey, we'll just get everybody to hate us, and that's totally going to work. Whereas with Bungie, even though Bungie is obviously a woke-ass company, that's obvious at this point for anybody who knows what they stand for and check out their website and look.
I was almost on board. Almost on board. Even though I thought it looked kind of bad in the design of the characters and some of the set designs and everything, I was willing to give it a shot because Destiny 2 is kind of fun. I bet Marathon will be kind of fun too. But then, here come the journalists. Here come the other developers from other companies. Here comes the dick eaters online, who just come out of the woodworks every time one of these games gets talked about to tell you how bad of a person you are and how much of an idiot you are and how you should just eat up the slop. Game's not for you. Don't play it. Well, good news. You're right. I'm not gonna play it. I'm still gonna talk about it. Because if we don't, then more and more of these games are just gonna pop up. And more people are gonna play them. And we're just gonna keep getting fed slop. And I'm tired of getting fed slop.
Look at all the DEI nonsense they go for. At the end of the day, Bungie does in fact have some hardcore fanboys, and Bungie does in fact have a at least semi-decent player base that they can hopefully pull some players from to at least bolster their game at the beginning, and then it is up to them whether or not they actually maintain that player base or expand it with good word of mouth. That's going to be the main difference between Marathon and Concord, in my opinion, that Bungie has an established name that while it has been going down over the years, obviously, especially with Halo just being what it is, even though Bungie's name has been going down, they still at least have a name, whereas Firewalk Studios didn't have one. So it says Concord was such an interesting failure. It wasn't completely broken at launch, and the few fans it attracted were initially sold on its Overwatch-esque hero shooter mechanics, but that brief interest couldn't stop it from being dead on arrival. It was a disastrous failure that shut down mere days after launch and caused Sony to close the studio that made it.
I wonder what happened. I'll tell you exactly what happened. It looked not as good as all of the other free-to-play games out there, and Concord was $40. They charged money for a game that looked worse than free-to-play games.
I want to be very clear also that websites like The Gamer, by the way, and other websites like them, the gaming journalism, they are the ones who ran damage control for Concord. They're the ones that told you do not believe the chuds in the fact that the game is failing. They're the ones that tried to tell you the game was fine in the beginning, and then they started to change their tune once they realized that it wasn't working. And
all of the review companies and gaming journalist companies that were trying to sell me on Dragon Age The Veilguard gave it 9 out of 10. Great game, return to form. All the companies that told me I should buy Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's a 9 out of 10, it's an 8 out of 10. And then I got bombarded, absolutely bombarded with ads for all of these games. Avowed, the same way. I didn't get bombarded with ads for any other games. I haven't been bombarded with ads like those games bombarded me. There was a major ad campaign on all social media platforms for those games. There's gonna be for this game too. And any games that I get bombarded with ads for, if I'm not sold the first ad or maybe the first couple ads that I see and I keep seeing it, it's just gonna piss me off and make me not want to buy it more.
And then when the game actually shut down 10 days after launch, suddenly they were like, oh, I told you so. Like, come on, man. These people, they changed their tune very quickly. Marathon is Sony's next first-party premium multiplayer offering that I assume the company hopes doesn't die as quick, painful death, or is a subject of widespread morbid fascination. Despite not being very similar to Concord, many have already written Marathon off and are expecting it to fail in the exact same way. I don't think that's going to happen. I want to be very clear that I do not think that Marathon is going to fail in the same fashion as Concord. I think this is going to be a delayed reaction. I think we are going to see an initial investment from fanboys of Bungie, and then slowly but surely, if they cannot maintain that player base, they will trickle down until eventually people leave and they go play Destiny or something like that.
Which is almost guaranteed to happen. If you look at how they handle all of their games, Destiny and Destiny 2, I think that's all of their games right now. How they just have to roll out patches day after day, removing content, releasing bad DLC or expansions, whatever you want to call them. They're not really DLC because you don't get to keep it. And constantly making changes and a shitty microtransaction store. And all of these different currencies. If they have all of that going on, it's gonna fail. Because it doesn't even... What's tying people to it besides the actual gameplay? That's not enough.
Which is what they're already playing anyway. While I understand the hesitation that many are feeling about Sony launching another paid multiplayer game to compete against a sea of established free-to-play titles, which, again, by the way, this is the worst thing about Marathon. Just like this was the worst thing about Concord. I don't understand Sony's absolute desire to charge a premium when their competition is not doing so. Their competition, most of them anyway, is not charging a premium. It's usually free-to-play titles that are dominating the market, and you are deciding to be the one who wants to have a $40 entry fee at the minimum. Chances are it's probably going to be a little bit higher than that, especially since prices of video games are going up.
Are they going to be pulling the best people they have away from Destiny 2 in order to work on Marathon? Well, definitely not at first. Definitely going to be their last resort is they're going to be pulling their best people from Destiny 2.
What used to be the $40 low price entry will probably be $50 to $60 now as the low price entry. Now their games are reaching $80, $90, and some rumors of even $100 like GTA 6. But where did Concord go wrong, apparently? Well,
what is the difference between Marathon and a free-to-play game? There's one difference. It costs $40 at least to buy into it.
Not to speak ill of the dead, but who was Firewalk Studios? It wasn't an established developer. Firewalk boasted that it was composed of former Bungie and Activision developers, which certainly gave it some pedigree. But other than the fact that Sony was interested in the studio enough to purchase it, there wasn't much momentum keeping Firewalk in the public eye, which is what I was saying earlier in the video. When you look at this game, the characters are wholly uninspired. They're ugly as hell. It looks like the Temu version of the Guardians of the Galaxy with pronouns. It is literally a video game that was made for nobody.
Yeah, Marathon looks like Temu version of Call of Duty mixed with Division, mixed with Death Stranding, mixed with Fortnite, mixed with so many other things. It just looks like the amalgamation of everything that we liked a little bit. And some people liked a lot. And that's not good. They're trying to take things that people like and mash them together and be like, see, this has all the things you like in it. You'll like this game.
Even though they try to say it was a game made for everybody, but that's what happens when you make a video game for everybody.
Exactly what I was just saying, pretty much. They tried to make a game for everybody by putting in all of the things that everybody likes.
It turns into a game made for nobody. That is what Concord was. And on top of that, it was a video game that was made for nobody from a studio that came from nowhere, essentially. Like, nobody knew who Firewalk Studios was, and nobody cared. So this game came out, and it died so quickly that it made history in the gaming industry. And now people reference it anytime they want to talk about a game that looks like it's dead on arrival, especially when it's like a team shooter, or in this case, an extraction shooter style team game. They are going to immediately reference Concord. Not only that, it's the same company, essentially. It's Sony doing this again.
Why would they even think mentioning that, oh, well, Marathon's made by Bungie? Why would they think that's a good thing? People that I know who actually play Destiny, still, even if they like Destiny enough to keep playing it, hate Bungie. The player base hates Bungie. So why would they think this is a good thing?
Almost as if they didn't learn from their mistakes. And keep in mind, they have Marathon coming out. And they also are supposedly working on the game called Fair Games, which is basically like the heist model. So they have all of these video games, team shooter, heist, and extraction shooter, that already have dominating video games in their genres, and they're years late on it, and they're trying to pretend as if they're doing something innovative.
I don't think that they were trying to be years late on it. I think they started these games back when all of these types of games started, and it just took way too long. And now they're going out of style, mostly because they got too big and too costly. There's too many microtransactions, really. That's what does it. That's what gets people tired of these games, pretty much. Microtransactions and also just boredom over time.
By coming out with these games and then charging you a premium price for entry when most of the other games are free to play. Again, it's the most stupid thing. I don't understand. Like, wokeness should not be even the topic of conversation here. I understand that the characters are ugly. I understand that the art style is ugly. I get all of that. But that is really the least of their concerns when you look at the overall issues that are plaguing Marathon and what could potentially go wrong here. The only thing they have going for them is their tie to Bungie. That is it. That's the only thing they have going for them. And even that is not as big as they really need it to be.
And it's not as big as they think it's going to be, because they think that people who play Destiny 2 like Bungie, that they're fans of Bungie, and that is not the case at all.
But hopefully they could get some good word of mouth on this game when it releases, but obviously that's up to the players. If Concord had been a success, it would likely have put Firewalk on the map. But in the lead up to the launch, players and press alike were skeptical. No, bullshit. Bullshit. The press was not skeptical at all. The press was 100% trying to run damage control for Concord and telling everybody that they're just being chuds and don't listen to the online discourse, that it's just a small group that is doing it. It's a small minority talking about it, that everybody's excited for this game, blah, blah. Like, don't pull that BS that you're trying to pretend like, oh yeah, we were always skeptical. No, you weren't.
The only people that I've seen excited about this game are just like random posts on threads. And whenever I talk about it, I get insulted. Either people 100% agree with me or I get insulted. And the agreeing is overwhelming compared to the insults, which is not typical. Usually it's about 50-50 and then the game fails. But now it's like 10% is insults.
But about nearly everything it had to offer, there wasn't much setting it apart from the rest of the multiplayer landscape, and if not for the fact that it was a first-party PlayStation game, it likely wouldn't have garnered much attention in the first place. Now that we've gotten a proper look at Marathon, people are saying that it suffers from a lot of the same problems as Concord, that the shooting looks uninspired, the PvPvE extraction systems seem very close to games like Escape from Tarkov, and other long-time established titles with huge fan bases, and that it seems to be a misstep on Sony's part.
Okay, it says huge fan bases. That's not even true. I could ask any of my friends who play games. They don't know anything about games like Escape from Tarkov. I don't think it's as popular as they want it to be, as they think it is. The only reason I really know about Escape from Tarkov is because I watch a podcast where they talk about Escape from Tarkov sometimes. And when they say huge fan bases, they're talking about, oh, it's got 100,000 concurrent players. That's not huge when there's billions of people in the world.
For charging money for the game when many of the most successful multiplayer shooters are completely free. So again, boys, this is going to be something that's going to live or die based on the name of Bungie. If Bungie's name can carry it through to at least have an initial investment of players, then Bungie can try to do something with those amount of players. But ultimately, it's probably not going to be big enough for them to be considered a massive success. Will they close down? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen here. I think this is going to be one of those extremely low-budgeted multiplayer shooters that are just running on a skeleton crew while the developers go and focus on something else that may potentially make them more money.
And they're definitely going to grind the money from people. They're going to nickel and dime the shit out of people with this game, especially if it's not a success. If it's failing, they're going to get as much money as they can. They're going to squeeze it out of you. Pretty much that all that's going to be left are people who are the content creators and people who watch the content creators, because they want to feel like they're part of something.
So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.
I like Hypnotic. He's cool. I like his character. I wish I would have thought about putting a mask over my face, so I didn't have to figure out a way to make my mouth move. Get mouth flaps. That's coming sometime in the future. Maybe it'd be like a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, but it'll come eventually. Marathon's fucked. Maybe not 100% fucked. Maybe like 80%. Probably gonna title this like 120% or maybe like 320%, something like that. Some crazy random number. Maybe 620. Let's go with that. Probably won't be. I can't wait to make content about this game when it comes out, how much of a disaster or not it's gonna be. Either, here's one of two situations is gonna happen. One, I'm gonna be like, man, this is funny. Everybody said this was gonna collapse, and it collapsed. Or, I'm gonna be like, wow, despite everything that everybody was saying, this game collapsed. Because I'm not saying that's gonna fail. I just think it's gonna fail. And I will be pleasantly surprised if it doesn't, if it's an actual good game. And either way, I'm going to be making content about it. And I don't have to be wrong. Buy a t-shirt or something down there in the description. I'm out.